New page 424. So, do we have demos? I'm sure we could have 4 demos right now. Every one of you could do a demo. Okay. Status. Let's look at the commits. One. What do we have? Matteo added configuration membership validation service. This is just to optionally disable the fact that when a browser is logged out, then all the other sessions are logged out too. So now there is an option to do that or not. This is a branch from Jasmin to fix, this is the same as last week, I assume, this was already started, to fix the locking issues when you create content items programmatically. So the work is still going on that. What's left, Jasmin?
We have the menu part that is not working. And sometimes when the locking provider just fails, it's going to make all the other parts fail too. So Matthew is looking at this.
I don't think you need a locking provider.
I'm not sure either, but it's been useful for the Autoroute part.
Yeah.
Because we need to have the route collection to get updated at the same time, then I think there's 2 methods at the same time that needs to be executed. So the lock is locking those two methods together. I was thinking about refactoring and using async and await, but
so yeah, this will do database lock, right? This is creating something in the database to do that?
I've not looked at the locking provider, but I think it's just locking the process.
So I don't think it's necessary
then. On this part, it's just locking the select from the database. Because the locking issues depends when we're trying to read while the writing process has not completed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's locking the read there.
This is on the same machine. And locking provider.
The only thing I have not been able to make work is with the menu part because the database read is made from the driver in the menu part driver. And for some reason, it just doesn't work.
Where is it? Short locking provider, action. How does it work? Try lock internal. doesn't have to be an interface. If this is just this code, it could just be a helper. But yeah, it's weird. Okay.
I think it's patched more than anything, but yeah.
If some sections need to be locked because two threads can't do the same thing at the same time, then that makes sense to use a lock. Locking is fine if it makes sense. So
yeah, but this should work from any Hibernate directly, and it's not right now. So, and I don't think we can fix this from any Hibernate because of the way that Archer is using the database as a document DB. It should be a relational database instead, and there's some documentation about how to use Hibernate to prevent this from happening by using a version table, but here we are doing it in the code directly instead. We're kind of putting the locking directly more closer to the UI than we should. But that almost works all.
okay. So that's all what's new on 110x. Okay, good. Then Orchard 2. Orchard Core. I need to rename this folder. So 7 days. What do we have? So last week, this week, merge branch at the time. This is Jasmine updating his branch. Nick updating JSON API in GraphQL and created a PR, which I assume doesn't merge right now. This one, you see, Nick, I think there are conflicts or it doesn't compile or something like that.
What?
Both conflicts and doesn't compile.
Oh, okay. I'll have a look at that.
That's weird. I think it was as soon as you created a PR, it failed. The CI failed, but that's fine. We'll fix it.
Oh, yeah. I think there was something weird. Yeah. So the CI is looking for a comparison tool or something like that. It might be because of the comparison stuff that I'm using, which is called Ascent. So maybe I'll have to have a look at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the other ones work, so just you.
Yeah. Okay.
This is JSON API GraphQL. This I haven't looked at it. I'm working on other things with Chantilly right now. I'll show you. So ShellContext, shell updates, and all these things from Chantilly. Antoine add warning message SMTP settings, update SMTP settings, and SMTP settings. And I think we merged it. Yep, I think we merged it. Able to refresh, to restart the tenant when the SMTP settings are saved. So that is done. Yeah, that's this one, this merge commit. So we'll need to remove that. When your PRs are merged, you can go to, I can do that too. That's what I do usually. When it's merged, we can delete the branch on the Git repository. Oops. There, and then locally we can prune these branches and magically they will disappear if you don't have a local branch representing this origin one. Okay, see, it's no more there. Clean. Fix that media is still available on the page after deleting it, from Matthias. add AccessAdminPanel to other roles. This is to let other roles to be able to access the admin panel if they have the permission. They didn't have the permission, so that's fixed. IStartupFilter support from James Restore, which lets you change the middleware configuration from your module wrap, the middleware tenants. And that was necessary for MVC versioning, route versioning, and also for Swagger. Maybe, but I know that Nick is using it already. Nested pipeline to configure a tenant middle of pipeline using startup filters. Minimizable leftbar has been merged, and I found some issues, Matthias. I didn't realize. The issue I found is that when you resize to a small version, it doesn't collapse by itself automatically. I think it should collapse by itself automatically. When it's small, it should not stay big. And also, I had commented on that on Gitter. I think you said it was working, but maybe it's a misunderstanding. When it's a small size and you expand it, it should go over the text and not expand completely. So it should be on a different Z index. I don't have it installed, so I can't show you. But right now, the only thing that hovers is when it's a small colon and you go over the left. Where is the issue? Closed. Someone commented on it or file an issue. Let's see. Closed. Where is that? Ping. Ah. This is not that. This. Okay, so the idea is when the window gets smaller, this zone doesn't collapse automatically. I think it should collapse automatically when the size becomes the size of a mobile phone. Okay, otherwise you get this full menu and 1 centimeter of text here, which doesn't make sense. Okay, then when it's still on mobile size, so extra small or small, when it's expanded, it should go over the text. So the welcome to Orchard should be there, and the menu should just get over and not push welcome to Orchard on the right to be just 1 centimeter. So that's the two things I think it should behave like. That's it. Makes sense. And it was working this way before the hamburger. Yep. Just try it in small. You will see it's weird. It should just go over. So that's my feedback on that. And we were there. Confirmation message. To status, I think. Not hidden. Don't get it. It's never hidden. No, there is always. Let me open it again. So the menu is either expanded or collapsed. When it's collapsed, we just see the icons. When it's expanded, we see the icons and the text like this. When the page is small, when it's expanded, we see the icon and the text over welcome to Orchard. right now it's not over, it's pushing welcome to orchard on the right, so there is just 1 centimeter on the right for welcome to orchard, meaning WELCOME go down. Okay, it should just be a Z index over welcome to orchard when it's expanded, and when it's collapsed, it's on the left of welcome to orchard and just the icon. So 2 status, but when it's a small window, the menu expanded should be over the text. So it's never hidden. Okay, good. Then confirmation message disabling a feature with dependence features, if any, like an initial one. So before you can disable something, it will tell you, hey, you can't. It's dependent on other features. Well, some other features depend on that, so you can't remove it. Or there's a warning. Remove hardcoded display route for content items. Null PR that I merged, which lets you change how to display a content item from content item metadata. Previously, it was just going to the content item controller to display this content item. Now you can trigger your own custom controller for specific content types, for instance, or content items. And then some fixes because it was not handling all the cases with null values. So now it has been fixed. Fixing build because this was a null, because this PR when it was merged was using a null API, which was populate async, populate aspect. Now it's populate async. Improving media from Matthias. Here for the root thing, which should be expanded by default. This is Janty returning to fix some bugs he found. Same thing, background tasks. Antoine fixing, well, implementing Bootstrap 4.10, and we have merged it. Did we? Or maybe we didn't. Did we merge it? Bootstrap 4.0.
Yes, we did.
So why is it still appearing here? Weird. That's okay, we'll see that later. So it was Bootstrap 4.0. This one is again Gentiri hosted service, ShellContext and ShellScopes fixes. Antoine on reset password, so improving how you, well, still working on how you reset passwords. The only thing now that is blocking me from merging is the way, so it works, but I find it weird that we have to do all these codes to be able to render a shape, even more than we are currently in a controller. So we should have lots of the things necessary available without having to mock anything.
I don't know how to instantiate view context.
I understand. Yeah, that's why I commented on the PR. I will look into how we can make it easier. We should not require all of these things. And I'm sure we have some code that does that already, creating a view context, and you must have taken the code from there, but I just want to be sure that this is the simplest way we can do things right now. I don't really like it.
In Razor page and in tag helpers.
Yeah, which have a view context already. And we must have it somewhere else. That's weird. Or maybe we call it from the client. I'll check. Razor is hard to generate not views from a controller and a view. And it's not really about Razor here, but because it's just a template, that's weird. Okay, I'll check. Worst case, I will just merge it and we'll file an issue to make it simpler. That's also something we can do. Bootstrap 4, okay. This is Antoine, dev branch. Jean-Thierry working, started a branch to use the latest version of, well, first 2.10 preview 1 of SPNet Core to use the new feature in 2.1, which lets you pre-compile views, which we were doing with custom tasks, but now it's by default in MVC in 2.1. So he was just trying to reuse what's done by default to remove some code of his, and it's working. But then I was like, why use 2.1 preview 1? Because we just shipped a preview 2 weeks ago, so we should use preview 2. And then I'm like, well, let's use even newer bits, because I have a newer bits and we are working on this branch. I've been working on that also. I will show you later. So we've been improving that and trying to, so the goal of this branch now is more than just trying out 2.1 preview 1 razor compilation. The goal of this branch is migrating everything to 2.1 latest bits to be ready for when it's shipped, and it should be not far away from these days. We'll see. So we can test everything and ensure everything is working. So I will show you what we pushed already, but this is the work on this branch. Jasmine working on Node time. I haven't looked at it yet, so I should probably. Is it ready, Jasmine, for us to look? Do you think? Are you?
Maybe tomorrow, because I have some code that I didn't publish yet.
It's okay.
I'm trying to work with the iClock interface that you already created, because that way we can debug better afterward instead of just
for testing. But yeah, so I don't look at it. There is a no ready, but when you're ready for us to look at it, just remove it and add workflows module readme. Otherwise you can't see it in the docs. Null checking in Autoroute, yes. Fixing some editors in the admin. Okay. Dynamic cache. I was supposed to have a chat with Chris this morning, but he postponed to tomorrow, so I will see what this is. Scares me. Why would we remove edge side include? So we'll see. But he commented everything here. It's crazy. This is Sipke on workflows. There is a PR.
The renaming.
Okay, we didn't merge it. It's ready. Oh yeah, I looked at all the changes. Looks like 200 files changed. And yeah. Oh well, here there are renames, file renamings. Yeah, you change everything. I thought we would just change the display, but that's fine. I feel better if we also change the property names. Yeah, the idea is that
looks better.
Yeah, workflow type and workflow. So workflow is now an instance, and workflow type is the type of the instance. That it looks like so obvious to me now, but that's weird. Okay. Yep, everything. That's good. So we'll merge that. Admin footer from Antoine to display the orchard version, AutoCode version in the footer of the admin. When I saw, Antoine, that you were modifying the admin, I'm like, should we instead have like about page or something like that in the admin to display version of modules or the system, or I don't know, a specific diagnostics page, something like that, to display metadata about the system and how it's running. I'm not sure, instead of having it in the footer. I haven't looked at how it looks like. I don't know if there is but yeah.
And I don't even know if it will retrieve the
correct version. Yeah.
That's the data suffix.
Yep, well, can keep it right now and see if we need a custom page for that. We'll see. Same branch, updating target framework, and yeah, new updates. And this is Sipke, very short. Yeah, so this one. So to let you know, what I found is that while looking at the latest version of 2.1, I found some versions called 2.1 RC1. So they are not. So the idea is that whenever a development cycle is done, we automatically upgrade, well, the ASP.NET automatically bump the version to the next one. It doesn't mean this is the RC1 bits. It means it's like for us, we have the .x branch or the dev branch. Okay, we could have a beta 2 branch and work on the beta 2 branch. It's not just yet released as beta 2. This is what the next release will be from this branch. So whatever is marked here 2.1-RC1 is all the work that has been done to target the RC1. Okay, preview 2 is already shipped, so now it's called RC1. There is that, and there's also a 2.2 set of packages. So right now in the ASP.NET core GitHub repository, you will find a 2.2 branch and a 2.1 RC1 branch, or the 2.1 release branch. Okay, so this one is using the latest of 2.1 release branch, so that it's up to date to what the closest to what should be released for RC1. Okay, that's what it's using.
Did you find any weird issues when you upgraded to 2.1?
We found issues. Breaking change. Oh yes, we found issues in ASP.NET. Well, breaking changes in ASP.NET, not issues. Well, also issues because first we were using 2.1 preview 2, and then there were issues in ASP.NET with the DI. Then
I saw those.
Then they were said, well, there was an issue actually in preview 2 for the DI, so we were asked to use RC1, and then we used the RC1 package. And then with that one, Gentry found issues in Orchard in terms of how we registered, like one content part was registered as a crap. What's the singleton, and there is what?
Transient?
No, there's other one, the standard one.
Transient, singleton,
Scope.
Scope. Yes, it was reached. Oh my god, it was reached as scoped instead of singleton, and that was causing an issue or little things like this. And he fixed them yesterday night. Where is that? Yeah, little things or packages. Yeah, like these things. Hosting environment needs to be resolved before. No, not this one. This one hosting is resolved before being passed to the Lambda. Where is that? Fix some things like this. Yeah. Yeah.
That be an any statement. That should just be parts.any, right?
I didn't check that, but I didn't understand what he was doing. He's still sleeping, or he's still working right now. He's not sleeping. I forgot. No, this is new because of how precompiled views are working. Now we get two DLLs, so we need to check if this is a DLL with the views or with the module. Because when you have a module and you package or you build, you will get two DLLs. Okay, one for the module and one for the views. And I assume here in this case, it's trying. There is an application part for the views, an application part for the module, and we just need to skip the one for the views in this case. So I think that's what he's trying to do. That's how view precompilation works now. Well, yeah, so fixing some issues, you see this one, scope, singleton for the LS part, referencing. So I pushed to 2.1, but it was not working, and I asked him to see if he had time to look at it, and he brought it back to 2.0. In the meantime, I found the issue and I pushed again with 2.1, because now it works with 2.1. Let's call up 2.1. Updated all the dependencies to use to run RC1. Dependency props, I removed that because this thing is actually handled automatically by the platform. When you target netcore app 2.0, it will use the runtime 2.0.0. Actually, whatever latest runtime you have that matches 2.0.0, so 2.0 star actually. Same thing for 2.1.0. I did that, and then I tried self-contained apps, and I found some more issues like missing references. I also found out that we don't need all these references. Everything that starts with system, you probably don't need that because it's part of that standard, so you should not reference that. And that was causing issues with self-deployment, well, self-contained deployment. So I removed a bunch of references. So it's cleaner than ever, and it works in every cases. I still have an issue right now a bug, I think, with ASP.NET and the .app package. We can repro it in other apps than Orchard, so there might be a bug right now. We're looking to fixing that, but that looks good. So I was able to go through setup and everything is working. Deployment also. Perf-wise, it's about the same as 2.0. I didn't see any big change, but I have some tricks to make applications faster, so I will try them too. And that's it. So it works nice on 2.1. That's good. So if RC is shipped before we ship beta 2, maybe we should use that instead. We'll see. Good questions on that?
That looks cool.
What did you say? Looks cool. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Is it faster?
I said no. I said it's not faster. I think actually. So it's interesting because now by default in 2.1, HTTPS is a default. Okay, so it will listen on HTTP and HTTPS. And I tried to see the perf difference between the two locally at least, and I got the same result, HTTP and HTTPS, which is not expected. What is expected is HTTPS to be much slower than HTTP.
Did you see the perf stats on the Microsoft DI container compared to something like dry IOC?
Yeah, I saw this table. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting if they fix that. So
if you look at these charts, it will show you HTTPS here, or HTTP, for instance, for JSON. Oh, not on this one. Okay, let's go on this one. Sorry, I need to go on page. Custom benchmark. So if I take, for instance, JSON, which looks more like what we are doing, remove that and check HTTP and HTTPS. Okay, you see, for instance, it's in percentage 370 to we lose 30%. Okay, when we go to HTTPS, but I can't see that on Orchard. And this has nothing to do with what kind of application you run. So what I assume is that in these cases, this is CPU bound. Okay, so the CPU on HTTPS is used a lot more than HTTP. That makes sense. So we lose a lot of performance, 30% in this case. In the case of Orchard, it's not really CPU bound, I assume, in this case. So HTTPS won't make much a difference, but it might be just IO bound based on a database. So all the pages I tested for perf were eating the database. So maybe we are just limited by some IO in this case, and then HTTPS doesn't make more sense. And this is why I got the same result on HTTP and HTTPS. And maybe also why we don't see any difference between 2.0 and 2.1 on the framework running Orchard. But this should be fixed later when we have better. Well, I tried also just with SQLite. Maybe I should try with SQL Server or PostgreSQL, which are faster than SQLite, much faster. And maybe we'll see some different throughput. But yeah, we have still very good results. Like I could get 2,000 requests per second without caching on my machine locally. I'll have to test with SQL Server and PostgreSQL, for instance. PostgreSQL being in .NET with the .NET Core faster than SQL Server in this case. We should have better results. I will try that. And I asked Sipke to also check the perf of workflow compared to simple middlewares. And Sipke yesterday tried to do a single workflow and hit it using some load, and he could get some number, and which were not that good, but he was also logging all the workflow instances, because there is a checkbox. By default, you can store the history of the workflow, so it's storing the workflow instance in a database, the result. And when you uncheck this option, then it was as fast as rendering a page, which in this case would make sense because there will be no database hit. Well, Sipke, you can talk if you know more, if you have tried.
Yeah, so the database is being hit, of course, to load a workflow definition, but that's the same when loading content items from the database. So it was as fast as rendering a page or loading a page and doing all of the display stuff. But yes, when you by default, when you invoke a workflow instance will be instantiated, which is just an object. But then when the workflow finishes, it will be saved in the database. Unless you uncheck that option, then it won't be saved, and then it's as fast. And maybe we can even consider doing the persistence of a workflow instance asynchronously, maybe so that the user doesn't have to wait for it, but maybe at the same time.
But when you mean asynchronously, you mean in a delayed way, or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, but yeah, I'm sure we don't really care about it. That's fine. That's already fast. That's good. If we might not want to store the workflow instances, the history of this in this case, I don't know. And still, well, your app is as fast as your database. That's that confirms it. Yeah, and next step is to also do the same thing with GraphQL and JSON APIs, just to see how much overhead there is from GraphQL and JSON API compared to a single endpoint returning the same data. Looking at Unique, if you can do that at some point, I can help you. I can show you how to do things.
We can look at doing that.
We're also working on having Orchard as part of these graphs, just to follow the perf of Orchard in these graphs to see the impact of ASP.NET on Orchard load. That's the goal. Good. Questions? Others? Okay. Topics? No demos. What do we have? No demos, no new site. Workflow as well, for those who don't know. The workflow has been merged, so now it's available in dev branch. Sipke has written a very nice blog post, and it's you will see Sipke. Let me show you something. Bootstrap. Okay, then we find you. Okay, it's another editor. Okay, author Sipke. Good so far. And then, where is your blog post? It's nowhere.
What?
Can't find your blog post. To find your blog post, we have to go here. We click in this link. No, on blog. We click on blog, and then we find it.
That's not good. I probably linked up the wrong username.
I don't know, just saying. That's how
Thanks.
I found it. But I knew it was there, so I found it. But yeah, how to make that? Yeah, so let's do an article about making a workflow. Let's make the biggest workflow you can ever think of. And but that's nice. If you can make it, you can do anything. Look at that fork, signal. I gave some feedback about this workflow to Sipke already. When you see fork and signal and join, I'm like, what does it do? And I was saying, instead of having the type of the activity, maybe just have the description here, so we can explain what it's doing. Like, I don't know, here, wait for a user to accept or wait for a user to approve, something like that. Accept, approve, no? Just this way, we know. I don't know. Just saying.
So sorry, are you suggesting maybe the workflow editor should, the user should be able to provide a description?
Yeah. The title of the thing.
I was thinking along the same lines, because I found some other activities that could use a custom description that helps following the flow.
Mm-hmm. So when I read it, because otherwise when someone opens it, and it doesn't know what does it do. Like signal when needs work is triggered. You see, that might not be. I know because I know what signal is and I know what.
Yeah, I get it.
But if the editor could have just said a text that to write there, maybe that would be better. And a way still to know that is signal task, like a tooltip or something, or signal task. Boom. But you can see the text here. Like send email.
Yeah,
I get it. Signal,
yeah, no, that's a good.
That's a
good
too technical
idea.
one. This one is too technical for us. But yeah. Or send, and this way it will not say send email, but will say send confirmation email or send, I don't know, action needs work email, something like that.
Yeah, that might be nice to have this consistently for all activities where you can provide a custom description, and that will be.
I'm sure you have it already, right? Don't you have a description or text associated to an activity?
No.
Okay,
No.
I thought so. Okay. Yep. So.
Question: is there a way to force Lucene to query to run its index process?
To force it, I think so. No, there isn't. There you can do reset, that it will index everything again.
That might be it. Okay, I'll have to. I'm having a problem with. So the issue with my branch is the is Lucene. It's playing up, so I'll have to look at that.
Your branch is JSON.
Yeah. So what happens is I insert a record, and then I make a query against another API to get that record back.
Okay.
Using what is it? I'm getting the get the latest. Hang on, where's my test? The recent blog posts. So I'm calling that get recent blog posts query. But it doesn't seem to. It seems to return nulls and blow up. So I don't know.
Weird. I know Antoine found some issues. I'm not sure if we fixed them, but Antoine found some issues with the indexing engine.
Okay.
And my answer was like, we need to refactor how it's done.
Okay.
Do a SQL query in the meantime. It's better. But you will say you can't do that with a SQL query. That's why I needed to refactor that. SQL and Lucene should use the same thing. Indexing tasks. To replace the same way projection was doing. So you can do SQL queries on data that is not projected, like fields and things like that. Yep. So blog post about workflows. And did you write other blog posts? I think you wrote 2, no? Didn't you?
Yeah, so I wrote one that just described some of the new features. And then this, at first I wanted to do one post, but then it became a little bit too big. And by the way, my post is associated to my name, but there's something wrong with the ordering. It appears last in the list.
Maybe that's the ordering.
Yeah, it is. I just checked.
Rewrite it in Autoroute to be better.
It's actually on our list to do that.
Good. That's it for the news. Anything else I'm missing? Okay, that's it then. Sipke, what's your next module?
Oh, it's going to be the user task activity. That's going to be.
I'm sorry.
And then no, I like that feature, so it should be part of it. And some more features, more activities such as user activities, content deployment activities, those things. Forms would be next.
Widgets. Yeah.
Exactly.
Good. Great. Okay. Thanks everyone. If you have no more questions, we'll end now and see you on Thursday.
Okay. See you later, guys.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.